So we've had this new episode 9 trailer out for a little bit now. Watched it a few times. Lots of theories floating around about everything from what planet they're on to Rey being a twin or a clone, or is her lightsaber vision or reality, and the glowing eyes, the red glowing eyes on C-3PO. And that last one is what I want to talk about today, because I haven't heard a lot of the deep theories on that, but it does get me thinking about just the nature of droids in general in Star Wars. We have had everything from the comedic, dismissively automaton battle droids that they're just cannon fodder, and we don't even care. We kind of love seeing them get cut in half with a lightsaber, to R2 and 3PO and K2. It breaks our hearts when they get destroyed. And K2 was like reprogrammed and sort of had his own little personality quirks from the reprogramming. And then we also had L3 from Solo. It's not my favorite movie, I'll admit, but her droid freedom fighting was interesting addition to the Star Wars universe, because it's the first time we ever really saw a droid become aware that they are basically a slave, and then it's kind of completely glossed over at the end of the movie. She still basically gets slaved back to the Millennium Falcon, or like parts of her brain do anyway. So got me wondering what kind of perception droids have amongst the rest of the galaxy, and how deserved it might be. The barkeep in A New Hope tells Luke to leave the droids outside because they're not welcome. We don't serve their kind here. So there's probably a lot of leftover hostility from the Clone Wars. So I imagine there might be a lot of families, or people who have lost their families or had their homes destroyed or whatever during the Clone Wars by a bunch of battle droids, and so it's easy to think of them as just mindless killing machines and dismiss them as individuals. But as the audience, we see R2 and 3PO and all these main character droids as having their own personality. So when we see something like 3PO with red eyes, and people start speculating that he's going evil or he's been reprogrammed or something, it kind of breaks my heart. Oh no, don't take 3PO's free will, because in The Last Jedi we kind of saw him betray orders. He disobeyed commands from purple hair Holdo, and worked with the mutineers, and that was his own decision. It's pretty clear that droids do have their own set of internal decision-making mechanisms that are kind of independent of simply follow this one person's orders, or run this particular program. They're pretty advanced, and I've always thought of them as sentient beings that are just kind of underdeveloped or under individualized by the universe, or by the galaxy, I should say. And those rights aren't really acknowledged. That individuality isn't really acknowledged by the public at large. But it might be because, and here's where I'm getting a little heady here, So these particular droids that we have had interactions with in the movies as the audience, they all kind of have a couple common characteristics, namely R2 and C-3PO specifically had a lot of interaction with Force users. Heck, 3PO was built by Darth Vader, and when he was young, he didn't even really know he was using the Force to pilot a pod racer, but he was tapping into those Jedi reflexes, and I think he was probably tapping into the Force, listening to it in ways he didn't understand when he was building 3PO. So my big theory, crazy out there thing, is 3PO is Force sensitive in whatever way a droid can be because of that. And R2-D2 also having long exposure by Force users over the years. Again, Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, had him for years during the Clone Wars. More than likely did a lot of repairs on him. You know, we all know Anakin was a tech junkie, fixing droids since he was a kid, built a droid when he was a kid. So it stands to reason he would definitely have done some repairs on his astromech droid at some point during their service. And again, that same concept of kind of being in tune with the Force while you're working on something. It's not unprecedented in canon. There's a comic of a Force, an old Sith Lord that put his essence into like a helmet and kind of imbued it with his personality, and then somebody picks it up later. I actually didn't read the book, but I've heard about it, and basically I know that there is precedent for like physical objects being kind of imprinted upon by Force users. So I think that's what's going on with 3PO and with R2. So that's why they seem to have such a individual personality compared to other droids that might be fresh and just right off the factory floor. BB-8 is another one that's just spent time around Force users and could have had some similar backstory. We don't really know much about BB-8's origins, so I might be reaching with that. R2 already had displayed some pretty unique properties even before he met Anakin. So he did save Padme's ship from the droid blockade, and you know, that might have just been luck. He might have just been, as the dude put it, just a extremely well put together little droid. So that might be just his kind of a head start that got him to meeting Anakin and eventually led to some Force manipulation. But anyway, that's just kind of thoughts. I don't know where I would be going with that as far as what it leads to with C-3PO, but I do know he was built by one of the most powerful Jedi of all time before he knew he was Force sensitive, but was already using Force abilities. So I think there's something there. I'm not sure what it means for all the droids, but I just know the droids that the audience has been introduced to all seem to be uniquely individualistic personalities, and you know, that makes for interesting storytelling, obviously, but I'm wondering if there's maybe a in-story explanation coming for that, since we did get that tease of 3PO with the red eyes. I'm wondering if that has something to do with him being originally programmed by Vader. So might be a tie-in there. Vader remembered building a droid, had some kind of contingency plan with the Empire. He knew that droid was still in service to the Organas. He probably wouldn't have known. I think we definitely know he didn't know that his child was with the Organas. He thought that Padme and the babies both died, and didn't even know that she had twins, actually. So yeah, there's some fine-tuning to be done there. But again, just sort of spitballing here while I'm working out. And once again, just I think some interesting thoughts are coming through my head while I am exercising. And that is where I'm at with the nerd thoughts. I am slipping below the 340 mark. So 339, 338 point something yesterday. And still feeling good about the exercise routine. Getting into a slump about the diet. Really tired of eating just chicken and zucchini every night. They're so good, but so the same as I had the night before. So I'm gonna try and figure out some new recipes and keep it interesting. So any ideas are fully welcome. Throw them in the comments as usual. All right, and that's my workout after a couple of technical glitches there in the middle. I'm gonna call it a day. Have a great day, guys.